So in farm management, what you have to understand is farm management is just an application. Okay. So if your initial concepts of production economics is clear, then 50% of your farm management is clear. Then what else you should read in farm management is principles of farm management. Okay. There are 7 principles of farm management. In that, 3 already you have read under the factor product and product. Okay. Here it is, the name is principle of product substitution, principle of factor substitution, and principle of variable production. Okay. Other than this, there are certain more like comparative advantage, opportunity cost principle, time value of money. Okay. And one more is the law of equimarginal returns. These you have to read. Then you have to read about farm accountancy, then bookkeeping. Okay. Then the ratios. So many ratios are there. That one. Then this cost concepts like A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and all. Then the ratios like, and there are different ratios that you all know. For some ratios are there for land, some are there for labor, some are there for capital, investment ratios. Okay, that we have to read, and then we have to read risk and uncertainty. Nothing so much to read. You are just to know that coefficient of variation, range are some of the measures to see risk, and risk can be minimized by diversification. This is first thing. Second, risk can be calculated with certain probability, but uncertainty, we cannot assign any probability for it. That is the difference between risk and uncertainty. For risk, we can measure something with probability, but in uncertainty, we cannot measure the events with any probability. Means we are completely unaware of it. Okay. So those things are there. What else are remaining? Farm management principles, I said, farm bookkeeping, farm accountancy, farm budgeting. Okay. Farm budgeting is important. If some people who have joined yesterday's this optional answer writing telegram, you know that there was question of farm budgeting. What is farm budgeting? Definition, steps, classification, and then its relevance, importance. In that importance, mainly you have to make sure that the complete budgeting is used, and one of the important factor is break-even point can be obtained from complete budgeting. And in partial budgeting, we use added cost and added returns. And in complete budgeting, we use total cost and total returns. Such things you have to do comparative study. That is for farm management. It's not reading again and again. It's reading each chapter thoroughly, and then comparing them with production economics. If you do like this, that will be your best part of revision. Okay. So you see, farm management, we have meaning. It is a socio-economic unit. Why? Because it affects farmers economically and socially, and it's a decision-making unit because he has so many resources at his disposal, so he can choose how to use those inputs. Okay, that is why it's both socio-economic unit and decision-making unit. It works at a micro unit because it deals with the farm. Here you have the different definitions. As I told before, for this definition of economics, you have to write the author name and you write the keyword. If those two things you are knowing, then fine. Then one more thing, you have to remember whether it's a science, whether it's art, whether it's about what it is. So when you read the definitions, you'll come to know that yes, this is a science also, this is an art also. Okay. So the answer is it is both science and art. That is the use of, you need not to by heart these definitions. Okay. You have to just understand. It's a decision-making process, it's an art, it's a science. Okay, it is used for a farm as an individual unit. Here it is given, see, individual farm. It's a science of choice and decision-making. Why I'm telling this is, there can be a question where they will give you 4 statements relating to farm management, and they'll tell you which among them is incorrect. That time you have to know the details. Okay. Then farm management, it's sciences and relationships. So these all things are not important. Okay, you can just skip it. Then you have different decisions. Operational management decision means short run, and strategic management decision is long run. Strategies are always for long thing. Okay, and day to day we tell them as operation relations, operation decision. So what to produce, how much to produce, all these are day to day things. Okay, they are tactical decisions. In strategic decision, what we think? We think something which is having very high cost. These are called as basic decisions. These include something like size of the farm. We have to construct farm building or not. Temporary improvements, no. This is permanent improvements. Temporary improvements will come under operational decision. Okay. So size of the farm, machinery, labor, construction of farm building. Means anything which includes so much of money comes under strategic decision. Then you have administrative farming decision. What you have to remember is only these things. What all decision come under administration, supervision, accounting, adjusting, all this will come under decision management system. So they may give these four and they may ask which of the following is not under the administrative management decision. You have to come under like which administrative management decision is there. You have to see and you have to choose in the MCQ. Now this is the difference. The difference between agriculture production economics and farm management. Very important table. Now principles of farm management. Most important chapter here. In this most important chapter, you already know three principles. That is a factor substitution. This I have explained to you. You can again revisit and you can concrete what you have learned now. Okay. Profit rules I have told. This is what I was trying to explain. When MRTS is more than price ratio, go for added resource. Okay. Product substitution, complementary, supplementary, we know. Now again, here you come. When MRS is more than price ratio, go for replaced resource. So you write these two sentences, one about below. First you write MRTS and then you write MRS. Then you keep it in like one paper, you stick in a table or almari somewhere. Keep seeing it for 3-4 times, then you will never forget. Now what is equity margin returns? When you have limited resource. Someone had asked me, sir, equity margin returns for limited, unlimited. See, madam, it is here. But limited resource should be allocated in such a way that the marginal value product of last unit of resource is equal in all the users. Means what? If there are different options available, and if you have a certain resource, then you should allocate them in such a way that their marginal value product of all remains the same, or the marginal returns for all remains the same. That is why the term equity marginal returns. Okay. In Subhashan, it is given that this is also known as law of opportunity cost. Okay. Because if you are utilizing here, then you are not utilizing in other way. Okay, it is given like that. But in this book, law of opportunity cost is given as a, in principle of opportunity cost given as a separate one. So based on MCQ, we will decide. If they are asking which one of the following is also known as law of opportunity cost, then it is law of equity margin returns. Okay. See, here it is given differently. Law of opportunity cost. Where it is. What it is given a simple principle. That is, if the returns is more than opportunity cost, then go for it. If it is less than opportunity cost, then change it. As simple as possible. Okay. Where it is. If the returns from the current use of input is less than its opportunity cost, then this decision should be changed. This is the only line you have to earn. And there are two words like next best alternative use. Okay. Now minimum loss principle. Here I will little explain. One person asked me, sir, whether if the price is less than average total cost and above average variable cost, whether we should produce or not. Who was that for boy? Who asked this question? You had asked me this question when I was teaching microeconomics. Is he now there? I had told you something like break-even point, shutdown point. I think Aryan or one other guy.
I think I asked
Yeah, your name, please.
Aryan. Sir.
Yeah. So I was correct. Okay. So see, Aryan. Now I'll explain you. Okay. Okay. I will draw this diagram little bit. I think your space is here somewhere. Okay. Here space is there. Okay. Here I will draw. This you have to understand. Here we are taking cost. Here we are taking inputs, or you take outputs. Okay, because cost is outputs. Now here you take price also. Okay, why? Because we will draw margin returns now. You know this is average variable cost. Now here we have average total cost. Where it will come? It will come above or it will come below? Average total cost. If this is, if this is ABC,
Above.
okay, above, fine, above, and its minimum point will be to the right side of ABC. So this is average total cost. Okay. Now we have price one which is intersecting here, one which is here, and the one which is okay. We'll take which color? We'll take pink color. Okay, here. So the price P1, then we have price P2, and we have price P3. Okay. So if a so and let's draw the point. Okay, these points will vary. For here it will come here. For P3 it will come here. Okay. Now, if he is covering the price up to ATC, then he is covering what he is covering? He is covering this is fixed cost. He is covering fixed cost and he is covering this portion. This whole portion is variable cost. Okay, this whole portion because see, ABC is starting here. This means what? Up to this point, whatever cost is there, that is fixed cost. Total cost is here means this fixed cost plus this much total variable cost is total cost. So if price is P3, okay, then is covering both fixed cost and variable cost. If price is P1, he is covering only fixed cost. And if the price is P2, he is covering fixed cost and some variable cost. Okay. Now the question was, if the farmer is selling at a price, okay, if a farmer is selling at a price which is more than ABC, the price is more than ABC but less than ATC, where he is suffering some loss, but still he will continue to produce. He will not shut down. Why? This answer is given by the principle of loss minimization. Okay, why? I will tell you. See, he is selling at P2. When he is selling at P2, above fixed cost, he is covering some part of variable cost. So, for him, loss is how much? For him, loss is this much. This much is the loss. Why? Because his variable cost is from this point, say point A to point B. Okay, and take this point C. So his cost is total cost is CB, where fixed cost is AC and variable cost is BC. In his price, he is covering AC completely, but in BC, at least some part is covering. How much is covering? Say, take his what is take D. He is covering at least AD part of BA. Okay, here it should be BA actually. At least he is covering that part. If he will stop producing, then what will be his loss? His loss will be this much. Because he produces or he does not produce, he should definitely go for fixed cost. So now tell me, Aryan, which one is more? Whether this AC is more or whether the BD is more? Aryan, whether this AC is more or whether the BD is more? Area and which one is more?
AC
AC
AC is
is
more, sir.
okay. So if he will not produce, then his loss will be equal to this much. If he will produce, his loss will be equal to this much. Therefore, even if the prices is less than ATC but above AVC, farmer will continue to produce. Understood? Why? Because this is the principle of loss minimization. So whatever I told you, that every okay, it's above, no? Okay. Whatever I explained you till now, that is given under this principle. Okay? Am I clear with that? So I had promised you
Yes,
to
sir.
explain later on. I will explain. Similarly, I have promised you to give the notes. I will take the photo. I was sending yesterday only, but I remember that if I send it WhatsApp, they will come, order will be changing. So I will convert into PDF and then I will send, okay?
No problem, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, most of principle of comparative advantage. This says simply that you have to allocate the resource in such a way where comparative advantage is higher. There are two types of advantage: absolute advantage, comparative advantage. Absolute advantage is like total profit. Comparative advantage is like marginal returns. Okay, so they try to tell that you have to go for a place where you are having higher marginal returns or higher comparative advantage. Okay, so this is very important principle. Why? They'll give you these examples. Like if you are having the vegetables and other things in peri-urban area, why they grow so much? It is because of law of comparative advantage. Okay, it comes under this one. So that you read on this thing, regional specialization. Okay, these all are important in this. So you try to write on the examples here. Okay, all these examples come under comparative advantage. Time comparison principle. See, if we have short things, okay, like you have the resources which you will use for short time, then what we use? Marginal revenue, marginal cost principle, or MIC, that is marginal input cost, and marginal value product principle. Okay, but when you are using for the strategic decision, that is today you are investing and you're trying to retake returns after 10 years, 15 years. That time, the principle which you will follow is time comparison principle. It thinks that money has an intrinsic value, so its value goes on increasing with the time. And how we calculate the time value of money? By the bank rate of interest. Okay, that is why we calculate the money with the rate of interest, and you try to see whether it is profitable or not. Understood? So they will ask which principle you will use for solar panels or like irrigation projects. Then you should not think that this question came from other book. The question is correct only. And the thing is, for these things, it will take so much of time. When there's so much of time, which farm manual principle you will use? Time comparison principle. Understood? Okay. So why it is because earning power of money, inflation, all those things that you can read. But thing is, you have to read what is compounding, what is discounting, what are the formulas. Formulas will be asked. Okay. So what is compounding? What I will do is usually I will read only compounding and you'll know that discounting is just opposite to it. Okay. So future value of present money. Whenever I think compound will be like this, no? It will be higher. Compound will be always higher. Compound is boundary of something we call as compound. So higher means what? Future value of present money. This is compounding. And discounting means what? Present value of future. Done. So I never get confused. What is future value of present money? Is compounding. How will calculate? Amount is equal to here we got principal amount 1 plus I raised to n. This is given the formula of simple interest. Okay. And how you will take them? Just take it ulta. The present value of the future money P is equal to amount divided by 1 plus I raised to n. In annuity, it will be minus 1 by R here, and here it will be like R by minus 1. Like this, something it will be. So if you write them like 4 formulas together, if you write those 4 formulas together, then you can easily remember. How you should write? Compounding, discounting, future value of present money, and here annuity. Okay. So easiest thing is here future value is equal to present value into 1 plus I raised to n. Here it will be a divided by 1 plus I raised to n. Okay. Here it will be like minus 1 by n something it will come, and it will be minus n by 1 something. We just see now here. I remember what I remember is they're similar. So instead of confuse, see this I wrote correctly. This I wrote correctly. Okay, this I was telling. Here it is minus 1 by R or I. Okay. If you see in discounting, it is in discounting there is annuity value. Okay, it is like this. 1 divided by I. So they are like very similar one. Okay. So you have to remember it. So make that table, make 4 columns, write it down and remember. They may ask that formula in the exam. Then, now coming to types of farming. In types of farming, we are having different types of farming. What are those? Here you should see. If you have read all this one time, then whatever you have to read for this particular thing. You have to go on writing here the meaning. Specialized farming is farming where at least from one resource we are getting more than 50% of the money we are getting from only one resource. This is specialized farming. Then diversive farming. In not from any one of them we are getting more than 49%. So we should get less than 49%. Done. Both are done. Now what is the mixed farming? It should be less than 49 but more than 10. Done. Here we have 2 things. Dry land and dry agriculture completely. So one will be like above 750 but below 1150. One is below 750. I think this is dry agriculture. Okay. Okay. So here you can see. Dry land farming is a cultivation where it is more than 750. Okay, but less than 1150. One more is only dry farming. Understood? Ranching means you will have the grasses where you are allowed to livestock to graze, but it is public property. Okay, it cannot be private property. Now these factors are there that you can see. Next, what will go for systems of farming? No? Yeah. Systems of farming again. If you already read once again, you have to stop here and you have to define yourself all the things. The same type of we have also seen in organization. Okay. So peasant farming, first we have to read peasant farming, then we have to read state farming, then we have to take out capitalist farming. Finally, we have to read cooperative farming and collective farming. In these 2, which one we should read first? Can anyone tell?
Capitalistic.
Okay, capitalist we have done. Between collective
Sorry.
and cooperative, which one you have to read first and why?
Collective, sir,
First you have to read collective. Why?
because it does not have parts.
Very good. Means my whole sessions are successful. Okay. Cooperative has again four classification. Cooperative better, cooperative joint, cooperative tenant. Okay. And one more is there. Better, joint, tenant, and is the one more?
Collective.
Collective.
Collective
Okay.
formations, sir.
Better, joint, tenant, and collective. This also I will tell you how to remember. Okay, very simple. So first we'll go from simplest thing. What is peasant farming? Where only one person is taking care. The farmer is manager, owner, and labor. All the three he is there. What is state farming? State owns the farm. It keeps the management people. They will take care of it. What is capitalistic? There will be one owner, but he will not do. He will keep some person, and he will just put investment. The other person will take care of everything. The difference between capitalistic and state is here individual is the owner, here the government is the owner. He'll apply 1% to seat, he'll apply one committee because it is public money. You cannot keep person, so keep a committee to take care of it. Okay. Next coming is collective farming. Collective farming means everything is shared together and they are paid according to their capability. They work according to their capability and they are paid according to their needs. And all the resources are they are pooled as share and they are used as share. Okay. Now coming to the collective form. We have not given table here. Fine, no problem. Okay. Collective better, collective joint, collective tenant, and collective cooperative collective. Okay. So once you see this, and I'll draw on table, that table you can draw in yourself. Cooperative better means what? Here, operation and the ownership, both are individual. Then what we call as cooperative better. Okay. So administration is done by managing committee. This all you have to write it down as a point. But in table, what you can make is both is individual. Exactly opposite of that is cooperative collective, where ownership and operation both are collective. Next, you have to read tenant. Why I will tell you. If you read this, it looks very like reasonable name. He is landless. So what he will do? They will buy the land in collectiveness and they will operate individual. Okay. So here I will draw a table and I'll make you to understand. You can draw this table with you. In cooperative farming, we have four types. One is better, one is collective, other is tenant, and third one is joint. Here both are individual, here both are collective. So it is done. Okay, take this as ownership, take this as operationship. Now logical comes within only tenant and joint. One if you remember, the other one is ulta. In tenant, what happens? They are landless. It means that he cannot own the land. Then how land is owned? On management committee will take, they will give it, and they will work individually. See, he is a landless, means what? He's poor. He cannot buy the land, but he can work. So he can work individually, but he cannot buy the land, so his ownership is in collective manner. Okay. Then its ulta is joint. In joint, what is joint? Operation is joint. Ownership is individual. So what you have two ways to remember. One is technically that a tenant is one. Who are tenants? Who those are not having their own homes, they are living in someone else's home by paying rent. Correct. So tenant is a landless. Landless cannot own the land. So ownership is collective, but it's ready to work. So your work is individual. Or second clue you can remember is in joint, we are always having joint operation. Joint operation is a term used in this military purpose, no? Joint operation, Malabar exercise, Sunset exercise, what so many exercises are there, Vijay and all. They will term them as joint operations. So joint operation. Understood this classification? So today if you write down this table, I think you'll never forget it. Capitalization I already told you. Latest technology can be used here, but most of the times the innovation is used in state farms. Okay, those things which are risky in nature, that also will be used in state farming. But when it comes to latest technology, this is used here. And which is the most common in India? Thank God I remember that question. There is one which is
Peasant
not common in
farming.
India. Which one?
Peasant farming.
Peasant farming.
Peasant farming.
Peasant farming. Okay. And which is the most common type of business organization in India?
Joint stock companies.
Joint
Stock company. Public.
Very good, very good. I think all top 10, 20 are sitting here only. You'll compete among yourselves. Farm plan, very simple. It should be flexible. It should be good. It should be practicable and all those. That's all like stories. This is important. Expression of farm plan in monetary is called farm budgeting. You have to remember different types of budgeting. What comes under budgeting? Added cost added means partial budgeting. Enterprise budgeting means one particular enterprise you will do. That is complete budgeting. Okay. This you have to remember the steps. They may ask you the correct order. Okay. This again I use 9S Pandram technique for this also. Okay. It is workable. If you repeat it 4-5 times, then it is easy to remember. Only yesterday while I was correcting these papers of mains exam for the student, then only I came to know that there is something new called in budgeting. They have something called cash flow budgeting. I don't know from where they read this. They have something called cash flow budgeting. Okay, so they are writing that there are 4 classification of budgeting: complete budgeting, partial budgeting, enterprise budgeting, and cash flow budgeting. Even in partial budgeting, they gave 3 types: input substitution and some resource substitution and method substitution. Something they gave. I don't know from where they gave. First, I gave wrong to first person. I wrote him. There's nothing called cash flow budgeting. I think you are confused with cash flow statement. Then I saw 2-3 more papers. They are written. So first I did is I went back to the paper, I edited. I kept good, and I went. So some tricks will be there from outside. But from JRF point of view, if you remember these things enough. Okay. Cash flow budgeting, as name suggests, they will see when and in which timing the credits are required. Okay, that is in cash flow budgeting. When income came, where expense gone, what rate came and what rate gone. That is what is used in cash flow budgeting. Okay. So even you learn when you are teaching, you learn. So when I was teaching them, I came to know that there's something called cash flow budgeting. These techniques are not so important. LP, you can see any one single video on YouTube, but it's not so important. Okay. LP means what? I will tell you because time is there. I'll tell you in 2 minutes. Okay. LP means you have an objective function. You have an objective function, whether you have to do profit maximization or cost minimization. So what we write is we have to optimize the objective function. The optimize depends upon the objective. If it is profit, then you have to maximize. If it is cost, we have to minimize. If it is resource use, we have to minimize or maximize. Minimize. Okay. Now this objective function we have to solve to the given set of constraints. There is a constraint that we have only 4 labors, we have only 6 units of capital. Okay. There are different constraints. We cannot use 2 labor and 3 units of capital in one day. Okay. 1 labor is always required to do 1 job. There will be so many restrictions. So how you will attain that objective function given the constraints, that is the linear programming. Nothing else. That's how it is. You may not read all these things, but still, I'm telling you, if you really, I have done everything. I handle so much of time that means you go to solution.
Sir, in case of linear programming, they ask about the Danjing. And so, who gave the concept of linear programming?
Okay, dancing. Okay, yeah.
Yes, yes. Please tell.
Yeah, okay, so I'm telling if such outlier questions are coming, then for them one answer is you can go for Subhash Chandra Bose. Okay, because he has given in only 3-4 pages. Here it is so many pages, so I don't want you to confuse. Hmm. But as sir suggested, that one MCQ you can make sure because already it came, so you can remember. Okay, the term linear programming was given by Danzig. Actually, Danzig gave specifically real programming. So,
Yes, yes.
real programming was asked in this time ARS mains exam. Okay, and I'll tell you how worst things will go. Means for me, it went best. No one thought that real programming may be asked because it was like very outlier part. I used to make the codes. Okay, I used to make the diagrams. I used to make the codes. And while going, I thought, okay, let me make one diagram for this also. And whatever is the given was there, I try to make one diagram, and I remember the diagram. And next day, that question was there in the exam. Diagram I had done before, not that one day before exam I did. But when you think that nothing will come, suddenly if that will come, then that time this course will help you. Okay, because you're doing simple things. So anything anyone wants to ask? Okay, if you have anything, kindly ask me. Now I think you are.